Welcome to another episode of Peep Pod.
Hey, everyone.
So to start today, I want you to imagine being like just 17 years old.
Okay, 17.
Right. And you've just survived this incredibly grueling boot camp style reality TV competition.
Oh, mate.
And you actually win the entire thing. You're standing in front of hip-hop royalty Jermaine Dupri.
Wow, okay.
And he slides a recording contract across the table to you.
I mean, that is the golden ticket, right?
Exactly. It's the golden ticket. It is what everyone on the show and literally thousands of kids across the country are fighting for.
Right.
And then you do the unthinkable. You look at the deal, you do the math in your head, and you turn it down.
Which is just, it's insane.
You walk away because you fundamentally understand your own value.
It really is a decision that completely short-circuits industry logic, you know?
Yeah.
Because the standard playbook for teenagers in that position is to just sign away their publishing, their masters.
Whatever it takes.
Right, whatever it takes just to get access to that major label marketing machine.
Yeah.
So deciding to walk away isn't just brave. It sets this massive precedent for how she would manipulate the levers of the music industry for, like, the next decade.
And that is the exact core of today's deep dive. We are looking at the life and career of Alyssa Stevens.
Better known globally as the chart-topping rapper Latto.
Yes, Latto. If you track the landscape of Southern hip-hop or pop rap or trap, she is this absolute powerhouse.
Really?
She evolved from a local Atlanta prodigy into a global superstar.
And our mission today, relying entirely on the extensive documentation from her Wikipedia page, is to really deconstruct the mechanics of that rise.
Right. We want to map out how a childhood dream, backed by just immense self-belief, allowed her to navigate intense cultural controversy.
And completely rebrand her public identity.
Yeah, and conquer the global charts, all on her own terms.
So let's start with the foundation, because, I mean, nobody just wakes up at 17 with the psychological armor required to look a titan like Jermaine Dupri in the eye and say, no thanks.
No, definitely not.
So the sources say she was born in Columbus, Ohio. This was in December 1998. But the really crucial detail here is that she was raised in Clayton County, Georgia.
Right, and Clayton County is essential context for this story.
Totally.
It sits just south of Atlanta, right outside the glossy, highly produced main metro area.
Yeah, and in the ecosystem of Southern hip-hop, your geographic origin is basically your resume.
Right.
So Clayton County gave her this undeniable street credibility. And that insulated her from accusations of being an industry plant later on.
Which is huge in hip-hop.
Oh, absolutely.
But, you know, the environment definitely shapes the artist, though this next detail genuinely caught me off guard when we were looking at the sources.
The racing.
Yes. Long before she was laying down vocal tracks, she was involved in drag racing.
I mean, think about the mechanics of drag racing for a second.
It's intense.
It requires extreme precision under immense pressure. Split-second reaction times.
Yeah.
Absolute nerve.
Yeah, you are literally navigating chaos at high speeds.
Right. Which is, honestly, a pretty spectacular training ground for navigating the music industry.
That is such a good point.
But her true north was always the studio. The sources show that by the time she was 10 years old, she had definitively decided she was going to be a rapper.
At 10.
Yeah. She began writing her own lyrics right then.
A 10-year-old writing rhymes is impressive enough, but her childhood also involved facing down some serious systemic social friction.
Yeah, this is a tough part of her early life.
She experienced severe bullying in school specifically for being light-skinned.
Right.
But how she responded to that bullying provides, like, the first real blueprint for her entire career strategy.
Because instead of retreating, she weaponized the insult.
Exactly. She took the racial classification mulatto and adopted it as her stage name. She became Miss Mulatto.
Which is a classic psychological defense mechanism, right?
Yeah.
You reclaim a pejorative,
Yeah.
you strip the weapon from your attacker's hands, and you wear it as armor.
It's brilliant.
It was an incredibly bold identity for a kid to forge. And it was the exact persona she carried into the first massive crucible of her career, the rap game, in 2016.
Right. So this was the reality series produced by Queen Latifah and Jermaine Dupri.
Mm-hmm.
It was 8 weeks of intense, high-stakes competition among aspiring teenage rappers.
Yeah.
She dominates, she competes as Miss Mulatto, and she ultimately wins the first season.
Which brings us right back to that opening moment.
Yes.
She wins the grand prize,
Yeah.
which is a recording contract with Socialytive Recordings.
Yeah.
She analyzes the room, she looks at the capital being offered, and she rejects it.
Unbelievable.
She stated publicly that the money simply wasn't right, and she chose to remain an independent artist.
Now, I have to push back here a little bit, though.
Okay, go for it.
Because turning down Jermaine Dupri at 17 sounds brilliant in hindsight, but realistically, isn't this a massive case of survivorship bias?
What do you mean?
Well, it's like winning the lottery but then ripping up the ticket because you think you can build a better casino on your own.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
We only celebrate this decision because she eventually succeeded, right? For every Latto who walks away and makes it, there are, 10,000 kids who rip up a contract and end up bagging groceries a year later.
Yeah, that's fair.
So what did she actually do differently to ensure she didn't just fade into obscurity?
Well, that is the million-dollar question. And you are absolutely right, it borders on reckless if you don't have a structural plan.
Right.
But look at the mechanics of what she actually did. She didn't just walk away and hope for a viral moment on social media. She immediately started building parallel infrastructure.
Okay.
At just 17, she began working with a seasoned entertainment attorney named Bernie Lawrence Watkins.
Wait, so instead of a label A&R rep, she hires a lawyer?
Yes, because in the independent music world, an attorney often becomes your de facto power broker.
Oh, that makes sense.
A major label wants to give you an advance, which, let's be honest, is really just a high-interest loan in exchange for owning your master recordings forever.
Right.
By hiring legal counsel early, she was setting up independent distribution channels where she retained ownership of her intellectual property.
So remaining independent in hip-hop is essentially like choosing to be a real estate developer instead of a real estate agent.
I like that analogy.
Yeah, like if the major label wants you to be the agent, they give you a nice commission for selling their house.
Right.
But she decided she was going to buy the dirt, pour the foundation, and build the house herself. It requires way more upfront capital and risk, but you own the property forever.
And she was pouring that foundation immediately. She released her own independent tapes, like the 2017 mixtape Latto Let 'Em Know.
She even opened her own clothing store and recording studio.
Yeah. It was called Pit Stop in Jonesboro that same year. She was vertically integrating her entire business.
Wow.
On top of that, she proved she could survive the combat sport of rap by engaging in a vicious diss track feud with a former rap game competitor.
Oh, Young Lyric, right.
Yes. They traded these heavy insults on tracks like Response Diss, touching on drug use, and all this behind-the-scenes reality show drama.
So she was signaling to the industry that she didn't need a label's PR department to protect her.
Exactly. She could hold her own.
But the catch-22 of taking on all that risk yourself is that eventually, the bill comes due.
Yeah.
You have to prove the gamble was worth it by breaking into the mainstream entirely on your own steam.
And that mainstream validation arrived in early 2019 with a track called Bitch from the South.
Ah, yes.
It just got fire organically.
Yeah.
She parlayed that momentum into an invitation to perform at the massive Rolling Loud Festival in Miami.
That's a huge stage.
And the track eventually peaked at 95 on the Billboard Hot 100, and it went double platinum.
Hitting double platinum independently completely changes your leverage.
Oh, absolutely.
So when she finally did sign with a major label, which was RCA Records in March 2020, she wasn't some desperate teenager begging for a shot.
No, not at all.
She was an established business entity dictating the terms.
Right.
And she didn't just hand the keys over to RCA's marketing department once she signed either. This is where her genius for algorithmic marketing comes into play.
Oh, the Gucci Mane campaign in July 2020 is a perfect example of that.
I love this story. So she wants the legendary Atlanta rapper Gucci Mane to feature on her next track.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of just having her management call his management, she orchestrates this brilliant visual trap. She goes onto social media and literally recreates classic Gucci Mane album covers.
Starting with Sid versus Radrick Davis, yeah.
Because in the modern streaming era, music is consumed visually on platforms like Instagram and TikTok just as much as it's heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
By recreating those covers, she wasn't just paying homage. She was manufacturing a viral moment that forced the algorithm to push her face into everyone's feed.
It's so smart.
It compelled the culture, and ultimately Gucci Mane himself, to pay attention.
And it worked flawlessly. He reacted positively, and literally weeks later, she dropped the single Muwop featuring him.
Which actually sampled his own 2007 track Freaky Girl.
Right. And the song went platinum. She was just engineering her own success at every single turn in 2020.
Yeah, she lands a spot on the highly coveted XXL freshman class list.
Which is essentially the industry's institutional stamp of approval for future superstars.
Yep. She makes a massive cameo in Cardi B's cultural phenomenon of a music video, WAP.
Unforgettable.
And she releases her debut studio album, Queen of the South. But as she transitions from a regional Southern star to a global pop figure, we hit a really critical turning point.
Yeah, the friction of a changing audience. Because a stage name that was accepted, or at least understood, in the Atlanta underground was suddenly being broadcast to a massive global mainstream audience.
Right. The name Latto began facing intense public scrutiny.
Let's pause and unpack the mechanics of why that word is so fraught, because it is vital to understanding what she did next.
Go ahead.
The term has these deep, painful etymological roots tied directly to American enslavement and colonialism.
Right. It was historically used as a legal classification to enforce racial hierarchies.
Exactly. So as the cultural conversation shifted dramatically around 2020 and 2021, holding on to that name just became a massive liability.
And this is where we see an incredible divergence from the standard celebrity playbook.
Oh, for sure.
When public figures are confronted with this kind of cultural criticism, the instinct is almost always defensive.
They dig their heels in.
Right. They claim they were being misunderstood, or they launch this combative PR war.
Yeah, they usually go on a podcast and complain about being canceled.
Exactly. But she didn't do any of that. She actually listened to the criticism.
Which is so rare.
She recognized the pain the word caused, and in May 2021, she officially dropped the moo and changed her name simply to Latto.
It shows a rare emotional intelligence, honestly.
It really does. And taking accountability rather than fighting the public actually became a tremendous business asset.
How so?
Well, by shedding the controversy of the name, she aligned her personal maturity with her professional trajectory. She effectively cleared the runway, ensuring she wasn't dragging heavy cultural baggage into the pop crossover phase of her career.
She gave herself a completely clean slate. And she used that slate to launch her superstar era beginning in late 2021 with the lead single from her second studio album, 777.
The song was Big Energy.
Yes.
This was the track that changed the fundamental math of her career, because pop crossovers require a recognizable sonic bridge.
Right.
And Big Energy smartly utilized a sample from Mariah Carey's Fantasy to create this infectious, unavoidable hook.
Unavoidable is definitely the right word. It peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. It went triple platinum.
Luke numbers.
It landed at number 7 on the year-end Hot 100 chart. She even managed to get Mariah Carey herself and DJ Khaled on the official remix.
Which is wild.
And the Recording Academy took notice, giving her Grammy nominations for Best Melodic Rock Performance for the live version, and the highly coveted nomination for Best New Artist.
But, those are domestic triumphs. The moment she proved she had completely transcended the American hip-hop ecosystem occurred in July 2023.
Oh, yes.
That's when she was tapped as a featured artist on a track called Seven.
The debut solo single from Jungkook, a member of the South Korean supergroup BTS.
Right. And the global K-pop streaming infrastructure is just a totally different beast than American hip-hop.
It's massive.
It operates on a scale of international mobilization that is almost hard to comprehend. K-pop acts frequently tap American hip-hop artists to bridge demographics, but Latto's specific melodic cadence was just the perfect fusion for this track.
It's kind of like a beloved local chef who has spent a decade mastering regional Carolina BBQ.
Okay, I'm fracking.
Suddenly traveling across the world and flawlessly winning a Michelin star in Tokyo for a completely different culinary discipline.
Yes.
It just highlights total artistic versatility.
It really does. And the data on Seven is staggering.
Yeah.
It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100, which was Latto's first ever number 1.
Wow.
It topped the Billboard Global 200. And because of the sheer volume of global fans, it shattered Guinness World Records.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it became the fastest music track to reach 100 million streams, and then the fastest to reach 1 billion streams on Spotify for a male artist.
That is insane.
Jungkook secured those titles, obviously, but they were fundamentally bolstered by Latto's presence on the track. She also took home an MTV Europe Music Award for Best Song and a Billboard Music Award for Top Global K-pop Song.
So she had successfully conquered the globe.
Pretty much.
But I want to pivot for a second and look at the human cost of this trajectory.
Right, because there's always a cost.
Exactly. What happens to Alyssa Stevens, the person, when the teenager who bet on herself actually achieves this dizzying, claustrophobic level of super fame?
Well, the sources outline several incidents that highlight how systemic surveillance and legal friction become the new normal when you are that recognizable.
Yeah.
Back in May 2019, before the global explosion, she was arrested for theft in a pure case of mistaken identity.
Oh, man.
She took that profound frustration with the justice system and channeled it into a defiant track called Fuck Rice Street.
And then in May 2021, there's an incident where she was arrested after being found with a loaded gun at Los Angeles International Airport.
Right.
But to me, the most telling example of the claustrophobia of her fame happened in September 2023.
The traffic stop.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
She gets pulled over in Atlanta for running a red light. The officer approaches the vehicle, and her explanation isn't that she wasn't paying attention.
No.
She explains she was trying to, quote, hurry up and get home because she was actively being tracked by fans.
Wow.
People were following her vehicle. She was given a ticket. She passed a breathalyzer, and she went home. But it paints this incredibly stressful picture of modern stardom.
It really highlights the central paradox of achieving your wildest dreams, you know. You can build the capital to buy a fortress, but you lose the basic human freedom to safely drive there without an escort.
That is such a stark way to put it. But despite that intense friction, looking at where she is now, in mid-2026, she appears remarkably anchored.
She really does.
She isn't just surviving the fame, she is managing it on her own terms.
Yeah. Her personal life has introduced some major grounding elements recently.
Right.
In September 2025, she officially confirmed her long-rumored relationship with fellow rapper 21 Savage.
And then by March of 2026, she announced her pregnancy. She actually flaunted the baby bump in the music video for Business and Personal.
Yeah, she did. And in May 2026, she confirmed the birth of their first child, a daughter. So she is now navigating early motherhood parallel to a thriving career. She has her fourth studio album, Big Mama, lined up for 2026.
And she continues to demonstrate her ear for bridging musical eras, too. She just released the single Somebody in May 2026, which interpolates Aaliyah's classic 1998 track, Are You That Somebody? Such a good sample. But another clear mechanism she uses to stay grounded is civic action. She is heavily involved in philanthropy, recognizing the real weight of her platform.
Right. In 2021, she founded the Winsome Give Some Foundation. Its explicit goal is to empower at-risk young women by providing them with the resources and structural support necessary to achieve long-term success.
She is essentially funding the exact kind of infrastructure she had to painstakingly build for herself.
Exactly. She also utilizes her massive stage presence for direct civic engagement.
Like the tour in 2022.
Yes. During her 2022 run opening for Lizzo's The Special Tour in Atlanta, she actually brought politician Stacey Abrams on stage.
Right.
Now, looking at the sources, they note this was specifically to highlight Abrams' gubernatorial campaign and to make a vocal statement supporting reproductive rights. They intentionally connected the political moment to the lyrics of her song Pussy.
And, you know, regardless of where anyone listening falls on the political spectrum, we're just reporting what the sources highlight here, which is that she clearly understands how to mobilize a crowd and use her platform.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And creatively, she is just everywhere. I mean, she even did this bizarre, highly produced rap opera collaboration with Christina Aguilera for a food delivery app commercial in late 2023.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
It is the ultimate culmination of a decade of relentless, calculated work. She went from a 10-year-old writing rhymes to a teenager who refused to be owned by a label, to an independent hustler vertically integrating her business, to a global hitmaker, and now a mother and philanthropist.
So bringing all this together for you listening, think back to that opening image.
17 years old.
Yeah. Latto, at 17, staring at a contract from Jermaine Dupri and deciding to rip up the winning lottery ticket so she could build her own casino.
Right.
The core takeaway from her journey isn't just a generic believe-in-yourself platitude. It is a masterclass in leverage.
She proved that if you are willing to do the unglamorous work of building your own infrastructure, whether that's hiring the right attorney, self-funding your marketing, or taking real accountability for your past, you don't have to compromise when you finally reach the negotiating table.
Exactly.
You can transition from being an employee of the culture to becoming the architect of it.
It is a phenomenal blueprint for navigating any industry, and it asks a pretty heavy question of all of us.
What's that?
In a world that is fundamentally designed to manufacture talent, dictate terms, and keep people safely inside a box, how much further could you go in your own life or career if you were willing to look a safe offer in the eye, turn it down, and walk away just to preserve your true value?
That is a great question.
It is definitely something to chew on the next time you're faced with the path of least resistance.
Thanks for listening to PPL COD. Keep tuning in for more stories worth knowing.